You're sideways, Erin. There you go. Hi, Vicki. We're going to give everyone some time to join the call. Nice to see some of you that are brand new. Just for those that don't know, there's about 80 people on the call today, so might take everyone a few minutes to hop on. Even though this is the second time I've done it as a open platform, this is the 8th time that I've done a Zoom call this way. There's always these first 5 minutes that can be quite awkward if you let them be. So we're just gonna hang steady. Hi, Alex. Hi, Jenny. I see you. Hi, Shirley.
Hi, Alexis. I'm here with Maura and Selena and Alyssa.
Are you guys all on your own separate devices?
No, I'm trying to get this to Maura and Alyssa and I are together, and Selena's in the house.
Oh, great.
I'm going to use myself as I try to get ready here.
That's great. Yeah, I had everybody on mute. Let's see. Okay, it's not even 3 yet, so we're gonna let it ride for a little bit as everyone continues to pop on. Yeah, if you're not settled down and in already, maybe just take the opportunity to find your breath and check out the other faces on the call if you want to. Don't be shy. It's the only time during the call where it's not going to look weird if you get your face all up in other people's business, so you might as well look now. Most of the rest of the time we'll have our eyes closed anyway. Hi, Tamara. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, lovely. Well, why don't I just riff for a minute or two, since there's a number of people on the call that don't know me and don't know what theta is. So, Jenny?
Are you recording? Are you recording?
I am.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if it worked, if the automatic worked or not. Okay.
It did. Thank you for checking. Yeah, just historical context. I both have not been the most organized person, and I've also said I was recording when I wasn't recording. So yeah, so once again, for those of you that I've never met before, you know, these calls to explain theta healing, to go into any kind of background in depth, it really is probably not the best use of our time. So I was trying to tune in before about sort of some relevant points of interest. I know I said it in the email, but I think it's really important to just acknowledge that theta healing is not a set of belief systems. It's not a religion. It's not a club, although some people think it is, but it's not. It's really, it's really a framework that this woman, Vianna Stibble, came up with to allow one to slow down your brain waves and get into a really deep state of meditation. And from that place to start working with your energy body in a variety of different ways. Some of the ways that we'll talk about today are about the relevance and necessity of clearing one's space. Theta is also, which is really a huge point of interest for a lot of people, not so much for me, but a modality that people use for physical healings. Primarily people come to see me one-on-one for, you could refer to them as readings, like psychic readings, but it really actually is just about a method by which you can start accessing and interfacing with some of the subtler layers of reality. So as I was kind of tuning into what would be relevant to share about me and the practice that I offer is I've been teaching and offering for 14 years, maybe a little bit longer. And one of the reasons why I've continued to practice and will probably practice the rest of my life is because it's sort of ceilingless in the sense that you can utilize the practice of theta for almost anything. And for me, some of the underlying values that are really relevant are, I put a really high value in one's ability and willingness to slow down. So I think particularly right now, we could all probably acknowledge that there's been some serious apathy and atrophy in our country at large. And at the moment, activation, right? And so everyone's getting hyperactivated, and they got activated by Corona, and then the events of the last month have continued to uproot and overturn and activate and stimulate us in all of these, for a lot of us, brand new ways. Like I've said in the call a couple of weeks ago when it was an open invite, it's interesting in these platforms to think about how much or how little to address what's going on. There's sort of a sweet spot for me where this is the container that we're setting is about energy work and about theta healing and about empowering oneself to find one's center and find one's own alignment. And yet we can't not talk about what's going on because even more than ever before, it is present. And one of the things, as I was tuning into the call last night and a little bit this morning, the image that kept coming up was when you turn over a rock that's been settled for a really long time, it exposes everything that's underneath. And people have been referring to, am I loud enough? I can see some of you. Okay, good. People were referring to the world getting turned upside down when Corona happened, which I think is totally correct in the sense that all of us got shocked in a brand new way of living got presented to all of us, and all habits, plans, and sort of habituated ways of being alive got off the table. And for a lot of us, there's the shock of the profound and systemic racism that has been happening. But I wouldn't say that it's the world getting turned on its head for people of color and for people that have been experiencing that for the entirety of their lives. It's actually not shocking. It's actually the way that it's been. And so one of the things that was occurring to me around this idea of the exposure underneath is either people are getting shocked because they have been underexposed and privileged and coddled and protected, and are part of a system that has been designed to prevent us from looking and discourage us from looking and distract us from looking. Or you're somebody who's been aware the whole time, and my guess is it's probably exhausting and your nervous system is shot for an entirely different set of reasons. I could imagine that it would almost be the equation of, does everyone know what gaslighting is? Yeah, so I would almost imagine it would be the same as if you had been, to some degree, being gaslighted your whole life, and all of a sudden other people were agreeing with you that you were being gaslighted, and it would both be relieving and heartbreaking and create whole new sensations of sorrow and grief and anger to deal with. So we could say that all of us might be in the same ship having wholly different experiences, and the ship is rocking. So us learning how to find our center and get back in balance is becoming really more and more relevant all the time. One of the values that I try to live within, that I try to understand, which is a lifelong process, is I make better choices when I'm calm. And I can see farther along the road when I'm calm. And I think that we have to be cautious, because a certain amount of activation and stress and upset has been creating inspired action for people that have been in apathy or depression. And then at some point, that same upset that might activate change becomes fractalizing to our nervous systems and our health, and we become less purposeful, less helpful, and less focused. And so in the container of Theta Healing, part of what we're going to unpack today is about how to find one's center with the purpose, not of going back to the way things were, but of being able to withstand more and more of the truth without running away and without looking the other way, but also without getting swept up and overwhelmed and drowning in a sea of hopelessness and upset that prevents us from participating and educating and being interested in what now, right? Like, what is there to do now? When I was driving, I'm in Prescott, Arizona right now, and when I was driving, I was listening to a book called Me and White Supremacy. And she was listing the things, like basically white people problems, you know, like white fragility, and, you know, anyways, the list goes on and on. Believe me, I'm not going to go over it here because that's not what this is about. But one of those things that she talked about the white fragility thing, I thought was really interesting, around how there have been so many of us that have just simply been unwilling to look and to be aware of what's going on, because it makes us too emotional, or it makes us too upset, or it's too costly on our mental, emotional, or physical well-being. And I think even I've participated in that, unfortunately. And at this point, it's sort of like, well, fuck, if the cost of my comfort is being totally unwilling to be in contact with reality, then let's get uncomfortable, you know? Like, let's just be willing to be profoundly and deeply uncomfortable and confronted with the ways that we've been checked out. And, you know, in some ways, hopelessness happens for those of us that are unwilling to do the boring, unseen, unacknowledged, tedious, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day work of shifting any aspect of self that has been, even unintentionally, participating in a system that is so horrifically unfair and unkind and imbalanced. So yeah, that's that piece. You know, so part of the power of Theta Healing is that it allows us to all meet in sort of what we could say is like a non-physical space, right? And it's kind of wild to be on Zoom with everyone because in some ways this is a non-physical space in the sense that I can't touch any of you or see any of you except my mom because she's in the next room and my dad because he's downstairs and my sister because she's in the other house. But anyways, so how I like to start every one of these calls because there's a need for unification, right? In a broader sense, but even in this sense, there's many people that don't know me. There's people of so many different kinds of backgrounds and races and religions and socioeconomic statuses and geographical, spaces that we have to meet in a place where we're the same, which is our desire to be in contact with the divine, our desire to find our heart and our center, to ask who we want to be, especially during this point in time, and to recognize that underneath the upset, the fractalization, and the collection of personal experiences is like soul, and that unifying thread of consciousness and divinity and connection and adventuresome and playfulness that made you want to incarnate in such a shit show of a game. You're a brave person if you're in a body, let's just say that. So for those of you that haven't been to workshop with me, we always start with an opening circle. And in that opening circle, I always ask that everyone, this is from Vianna, the practice of theta healing, put their thumbs to the left, which means that your left palm is up and your right palm is down. Yeah, just like that. And you don't have to hand hover. Once you got it, you got it. And the purposefulness of that is that just traditionally, in terms of energy bodies and how your energy body functions, the left side tends to be the more receptive feminine side, and the right side tends to be the more generative, offering yang side. And in this way, we create a circuit of energy where we can sort of even gently telepathically tune into the level of consciousness on this call, the heart on this call, and the mutual desire to be here together. So we can kind of tune into why we're here together. So if everyone wants to take a nice deep breath. Yeah, and thumbs to the left. And let's just imagine for a moment as you close your eyes and kind of calm your own body and nervous system down, that there are, give or take a few, about 80 people on this call, all in desire and yearning for peace, for information, for connection with divinity and other like-minded beings, and to find a little corner of the world to find serenity, not to ignore or deny or push away what's going on right now, but for the respite and the renewal that is absolutely essential and required for us to move forward in a way that is powerful and focused. So as we imagine holding hands and creating that unit of energy together, the term that I use for spirit is Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is, but you can use any term you would like to. And together, let's just call in that strange, mysterious, ineffable, liquid life and energy that animates all things, including our strange little bodies. So, Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is, to the winds and the water, to our Mama Earth and Father Sky, to our angels and guides and the higher selves of each and every person on this call. I ask in the highest and best way that this hour is purposeful, that this hour is cleansing, that this hour refreshes and renews in a way that allows us to keep going with our chins up and our spine straight, whether or not we're crying. I ask in the highest and best way that as we move from space to space together, and as we do the theta healing meditation together, that the words that I use, that the rhythm I use, the cadence, and the general flow of the experience is most nourishing for the collective consciousness of everyone on this call. May we find solace, may we find surrender, may we find clarity about what there is to do and surrender about what we have no control over. May we remember that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And even when the shit's a-flying, we have to learn to relax if we hope to get anywhere. I ask that everyone on the call feel a sense of inclusion and belonging and wantedness. And so it is. Good, and everyone just take a nice deep breath. Find your own little center for a moment. And once again, because there's so many people on the call that haven't taken the class for me, there's just a couple of baseline things to note or to communicate about before we do the theta healing meditation and before we do our first exercise together. Sometimes, especially in New Age culture, there's a number of terms that get thrown around that aren't sometimes even ever explained. So to clear one space, to bubble up, to ground, these are all things that are not always wholly clear to everyone. And so let's just start with even a little brief conversation about how to clear one's space and the benefits and purposefulness of clearing your space. So you could imagine that in the same way that you have a physical body, and there's just such a huge amount of, I don't know how it occurs to you, but to me it occurs like work, of keeping our physical bodies intact, whether it's through movement and water and right food and on and on and on. And there's not a ton of conversation in our current culture around how to tend to consistently, persistently, your energy body, which to me is just as important actually as your physical body. So you could imagine your energy body like a net around you. And you could say that in the same way that our physical body has the ability to pick up bugs and viruses and things that are going around, your energy body has the ability to lodge in its field information, media, data, excessive anxiety and fear from the collective consciousness. And sometimes when I bring up these conversations around clearing other people out of your space or clearing, all kinds of things out of your space, I think that there's a misnomer in there where people think that they're protecting themselves and trying to get rid of that which is negative, which they don't want to experience. But to me, it's just infinitely more empowering to think about it like I clear my space to honor my right to be alone when I'm alone, and to be in my own headspace when I'm in my own headspace, and to be in contact with my center in a way that lets me know myself. Because when we are constantly inundated with news stream and media and social media and images and sounds and opinions and ideas, you can almost imagine it like reverberation, where there's a constant feedback loop within the energy body that disconnects us from even being able to feel what is ours and what is not ours. And so that being said, can everybody let's just take a deep breath. I know, for those of you that are new, I know that I talk fast and I'm doing the best I can to slow down, but it's not the easiest thing for me. So let's just see, it looks like everyone's ready. The other thing that I would say just really briefly is if you are able-bodied and capable of doing so, try not to lay down on the call. It's really best if we can just commit for the hour of the call to stay upright. And if it's comfortable for you and healthy for you, I would even suggest you sit cross-legged and sit up straight so that you're not leaning up against something. And no judgment if you can't, or if you don't want to, or if it doesn't feel good in your body, but it is a way of sort of honoring that we're trying to get our chi moving, and we're trying to align ourselves and be receptive and available for something other than the experience that we've been stuck in. Good. Thank you so much. So I'm going to lead everybody through the meditation. Does anybody need a minute or to pause to get water or use the bathroom? This is usually when faces start disappearing here. I've already saw one person go. Anyways, if now's the time, now's the time. Don't do it later. We'll all get mad at you. Okay, I'm gonna give everybody just a couple minutes. Does anybody that is new on the call have any questions so far or anything they'd like to say, or even anybody that's not new? Feel free to unmute yourself and jump in there.
It's great to see you, Alexis. Thank you so much. It's Alexis.
Oh, hi. Nice to see you too. I'm happy you're here as well. Thank you. I think sometimes even in this platform, it's a practice to get comfortable letting people look at you without being self-conscious. I would say it's a practice for getting quiet, but since I don't stop talking, that really wouldn't be something I'm behind. Just kidding. I do stop talking on occasion, but not that often, not on the call. Look at that, I did it. Okay, looks like everybody's coming back and getting settled. It'll give me a chance to check my notes there. Okay, so as everybody is finding their way back together, the other aspect of theta healing is there's a request that gets put in place before I work on somebody, or any theta practitioner works on somebody, which is, can I come into your space? Some people prefer saying, can I work in your energy field? To me, it's sort of like tomato, tomato. It does not make a big difference. And all that means is that you and I are in enough rapport and enough agreement that you're giving me permission, particularly during the meditation, to kind of track you and to interface with your energy body, and to be able to sort of see and sense where tension might be happening, or where somebody might kick me out of their space, or where there's a need to kind of nourish or go deeper. It's always an interesting practice being with this many people where there's not necessarily a common background, just because everyone's level of relationship to energy work and meditation and getting readings and having somebody work with you is on a pretty wide spectrum. And so for me, it's about hitting the sweet spot where we're riding this wave together, where we're expanding where we've been before, even sometimes to the point of maybe mild discomfort, but not so far that there is reverberation or necessary recovery from traveling together in this way. Yeah, good. As I checked my notes, I realized there was one last thing I wanted to say before we do the theta healing meditation and talk about what it means to clear one's space. And it was part of what came up last night and this morning was the relationship to this belief that my needs matter. Actually, to be honest with you, about a week ago, when I did the last call, I was shocked to be shown in that theta space that a number of beliefs that I thought that I held because I was a conscious person turned out to be beliefs that I held because I'm white and privileged. Oh man, alive. Yeah. So one of them actually was about this idea that my needs matter. And by no means am I saying, oh, my needs don't matter at all, but it was about unpacking what we've been told, especially in our Western culture, what is a need and what is a preference. And we've been spoon-fed for a very long time that our preferences are needs. And it's really, really destructive for us to get those wires crossed. And so even in the context of the theta meditation together and cleansing and clearing some of the beliefs that prevent us from lining up and being in contact with reality and being an empowered person that knows how to interface with reality, is understanding that there's this spectrum where you either have or have not been told that your needs matter. And so there is quite a few people that actually have been subconsciously and in an underlying way told that their needs don't matter. And so there are people, like if here's the middle, that actually need to increase their relationship with that their needs matter. And then there's quite a few of us, mostly whiteys, that need to actually recognize that maybe our needs don't matter because maybe they're not needs. And the clarity that I got around that is that if somebody else is actually having a need and I say my needs matter, but I'm talking about a preference, it's aggressive. And it actually makes me value my egoic, self-absorbed personality identity over my core value system, which is empathy and connection and equality and connectivity among my human family and a desire to see balance. And so we're going to unpack it just a little bit as we ride together, and I'll be sort of as gentle as I can. So is everybody back in their chair? It looks like. Good. I riffed long enough that here we all are again together. Great. So with the theta meditation, I'll go as kind of a little bit on the slower side. Generally speaking, how it works is we get identified with our consciousness within the body. We go down through the body, down into the earth. It's so important that we get grounded, which means that our root chakra is open, right? So even right now, are you clenching your butt? Because the thing is, especially culturally, our whole jam, especially if you're a female, has been about clenching your butt and tucking in your belly. And it's a terrible fucking idea, because that the bottom of you, your perineum, your sphincter, to be able to absorb naturally through nature that interface with the earth and to allow earth energy to be rising up so that kundalini is even possible for you, you have to relax the lower half of your body and not be sucking and squeezing and tightening. So men and women, right now, let's just take a moment to breathe, and to the best of your ability, just relax your butt. So, okay, sorry, back to what I was talking about. So we'll go earth energy up through the chakra systems. I'll do a little work and download and clear as we move up. We go out through the top of the crown. We imagine going up and out through outer space and time, blah, 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 whatever. At some point, I'll say to connect with Creator however you see fit. Again, I use certain terminology, but it's so important that you use the terminology that feels most resonant and accurate for you. And then together, we'll kind of gently move our way through of releasing and letting go of other people's energy, of all of the impact and anxiety and upset and imagery that is in our field in a way that's no longer creating purposefulness or direction, but is traumatizing the nervous system and the brain and disallowing focus and clarity. We'll do a visualization for bringing all aspects of self home. Everyone take a breath. I think particularly right now, the fractalization is that it doesn't feel okay to find your breath. And it doesn't feel okay to just get okay for a second or to get peaceful a second, as if it is a insult or a dishonoring of other people's pain bodies. And we want to just create context around when you call yourself home to you and you do the work of getting clear in your energy body, you become one of the healthy cells capable of educating and offering and loving people into wholeness and offering people into states of grace and connection. And when we're all kinds of sloppy in our own energy bodies, we end up costing other people when we talk to them. And right now, again, sorry to keep saying it this way, but right now, particularly for those of us that have been inundated in a culture that tells us that our needs are more important than other people's needs, and they're not, it's really healthy for us to learn how to not ask other people to hold emotional weight for us unless they offer, right? Because everyone's in it. So the way that we do that is by tending to the energy body and finding our alignment and finding resources of support that are designed to support us. And then we'll take a little journey, and then I'll guide everybody down. So everybody find a way to sit that is most comfortable for you. And particularly right now, can we just, with everything that's been happening for the last 3 months with Corona, can we just for a moment appreciate the air that you're breathing in? And just ask that that oxygen calm and nourish. And let's just remind all of us that it is safe for us to breathe. It is healthy for us to breathe. It is an act of divinity, a breath of life to pay attention and to be in states of appreciation and gratitude around the extraordinary experience and privilege of having clean, breathable, untempered air. Good. Now just take a moment and imagine you could see your consciousness within your body as this beautiful point of light. And as you begin to identify your consciousness within your body, just notice where that glowing ball or where that beautiful point of awareness lives. And as you identify that beautiful point of light, allow your consciousness, relax your body, relax your breath, to begin to gently move down. Moving down past throat and chest. Relaxing the breath, release the belly, down past the belly. And you can imagine that beautiful point of consciousness flowing down through the sacrum, or perhaps even down and out the bottoms of the feet if your feet are planted on the ground. Let's imagine our consciousnesses like roots of a tree, just gently flowing and orienting and moving down through the earth past soil and rocks and roots further down, hundreds of feet, thousands of feet. Let's imagine at the very center of the earth is a big, beautiful ball of Mother Earth energy. And let's remember that to take without honor is to disrespect. To receive with gratitude is an act of humility and an understanding that we are tiny, teeny little creatures and we need help and we need resource. And that the center of the earth is a reservoir of support and calm and nourishment for our physical bodies to draw from. So just imagine the roots of your energy tapping or plugging into that very center. Good. And then imagine as you draw your consciousness and that earth energy up through the ground, drinking and drawing, just as innocent as a baby drinking mother's milk, just drinking and drawing up through the ground, up past the bottoms of the feet, and right into the sacrum. And let's just imagine for a moment, right in the sacrum, right on the perineum, is a big, beautiful ball of deep red. And allow that energy to begin to spin and open as it drinks. And as we relax the muscles in our body, as we allow that energy to enter there, just take a moment to say right into that area of the body, in this moment you are safe. In this moment you are well resourced. In this moment I am supported. I am allowed to receive. It is healthy to receive. I humbly and gratefully receive. And allow that big, beautiful spin of red energy to spread and root to the ground as we gently move our consciousness up. Let's just say about 2 inches below the belly button, a beautiful sphere. You can imagine it like a flower or a pinwheel of orange energy. And let's just imagine gentle, gentle as we nourish with the earth energy, that second chakra begins to spin and open down the left and up the right. As we relax the belly, don't hold the belly in for the moment. This is our center for emotional, sexual, and creative well-being. There's been a lot of emotions happening, so let's just don't try to resist or create an emotion, just open and allow. And right into that space, let's just ask, may my feelings inspire higher quality of life for myself and those around me. May my feelings cleanse and clear the cobwebs of my own illusions. May my emotions act as an opening towards empathy and connection with other human beings. May I feel in a way that creates me as alive and available and willing to do this game of being a human being. Good. Right up into the third center, your power center. Just imagine in your solar plexus a sort of big, beautiful golden yellow ball of light and warmth and the potential for empowerment. And just allow that liquid energy to pulse and move and spin down the left, up the right, opening, opening. And from that space, let's just say right into the center, may I wake up to where my true power actually lives. May I less and less try to find power through control, through accumulation of goods, through controlling my environment or the people that are within it. And may I find more and more power through being in contact with what is right, being in contact with what is true, and being in contact with the divinity within me and those around me. May my power act in service to the empowerment of those that need it most. May I feel powerful and in service. May I feel powerful, and may I feel that my power is not driven by me and me alone, but the humility of understanding what I do and do not have control over. Good, very good. And now gentle and easy. Move your consciousness up into the heart. And let's just acknowledge the heartbreak For some of us, it's more recent. For others of us, it's been a lifetime. And let's just right into the heart chakra, that big, beautiful green ball of light, as we allow it to spin and open. Let's just say right in the center, I am willing to have my heart broken, to be born anew, to have more love, to have more kindness, to have more compassion, to have more wisdom. I am willing to feel whatever it is I need to feel to line myself up with what is just and what is healthy and what connects me with the truth. Good, gentle and easy up into the throat. Let's just imagine in the throat is this big, beautiful blue ball of light. And let's reflect for a moment that an extraordinary thing about being a human being is our capacity to communicate. And we communicate not just with the words we use, but the tone we're using, the vibrational emanation behind the words, and the silent words that we think to ourselves. And let's just take a moment to ask, have my words been in service to health and healing and clarity and nourishment for all? And let's be careful here. If the answer is no, the idea isn't to shrink and become shameful, which is actually, I hate to tell you, quite self-absorbed. The idea here is to be humble enough to ask for something different. May my words be in service to love, to clarity, to directionality, to focus. May I be someone who speaks and thinks the truth. May my words be a current of clean, light-bringing, love-bringing, pure-bringing energy and health to those that need it most. Good. Gentle and easy up into the third eye. Don't hold your breath. For those of us that are quite sensitive, which are on the call, you probably are. There's been a hyper impact on the nervous system. And let's just remember that with the third eye, we don't want to just witness the chaos and the upset and the death and the breaking down of things. We want to pierce the veil enough to see Kali Mama behind the destruction, setting fire to those things that were no longer functional, and for some people were never functional. And so there's something to be said for burn, baby, burn. I ask that my third eye be open in a way that allows me to see the subtle reality behind physical reality, the canvas behind which this theater of emotions and light and sound are taking place. May I be someone who has not just knowledge, but wisdom of what's going on. Good. May I see only that which serves a purpose for me, and may be I free of taking on anything that creates me as overwhelmed and fractalized and broken to the point where I can no longer play the game. May I see that which inspires me to clarity, truth, and action. Good, and gently up into the crown. Just again, relaxing the body and the shoulders. Allow that beautiful ball of light, just top of the crown, beautiful purple, to begin to pulse and spin and open towards the sky. This is our point of connection with the divine. And how often do we get stuck in our minds instead of in prayer? How often do we get stuck in neurotic conversation with ourselves instead of call and response with the infinite divine? Let's just ask that our crowns be opened gently, gently, in a way that allows us to remember more and more often that we are not alone. That there is wisdom for us and help for us and healing for us and clear communication for us and vision for us about what is possible. May I release and let go of my addiction of needing to know, of needing to sound like an expert, of needing to sound like I know what I am doing. Let me release and let go of the superficial desire to be seen a certain way and surrender and find the innocence of a child to say, I don't know, but man, I would like to. I don't know, but my higher self does. I don't know, but spirit does. I don't know, but I would like to. Good, and taking a deep breath, gentle and together, just imagine that beautiful point of light lifting up past the top of the crown, out above the air above your head, just relaxing the body. Together we rise up out of whatever room you're in and out into the sky. We flow together higher and higher, farther and farther. Imagine moving out past the atmosphere and stratosphere of planet Earth. Starting to go even farther still, we travel higher and higher, out through the galaxy, higher and higher. Don't lose your breath. Imagine beginning to pass layers and layers of bright white lights. And up ahead, a big, beautiful, bright white light, the very edge of the known universe. And as your consciousness moves up through and into this beautiful, bright white light, together, let's imagine going through an almost jelly-like substance where all the colors and shapes of the universe exist. And up ahead, a window, a glowing, pearlescent window of unconditional love and welcome home. Allow your consciousness to move up through and into this window as we make connection with Creator, however we see fit. Mother, Father, God, Creator of all that is. And we're going to start nice and gentle and easy. I ask in the highest and best way that my energy body, my physical body, be cleansed and cleared of all social media, news streams, things I've read, things that I've heard, that is no longer purposeful and creating action, but is actually creating anxiety and upset within my energy body. I ask that all waywards, anything not my highest and best, and anyone else's energy that does not belong there, be pulled, released, and sent to the light. So it is said, it is done. And what you can do is just imagine, like manna from heaven, a golden light, just gold and pink and green, flowing down through the top of your crown, down through the body, washing and cleansing all that which no longer belongs to you out of your field. First, let's do it with social media. Just imagine releasing and letting go. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any other platforms you're on, just cleanse and clear. You are not with me in the now. Here I am. Let's ask that any images, especially those of violent nature, that are still in your energy body, no longer creating purpose and drive, but creating fear and contraction, be cleansed and cleared from the body, mind, and spirit. May we trust ourselves enough to stay motivated without shocking our systems again and again. Let's ask from this space, may all the people that I've been connected with, my partners, my children, my parents, those in my immediate vicinity, again, this is not to get rid of them because they're yucky. It's to honor our need for psycho-spiritual space to find ourselves. I ask that my husband, my wife, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my children, my parents, my dog, my roommates be cleansed and cleared from all areas of the body, mind, and spirit, and sent to the light and back to wherever they belong. So gently, with love in your heart, just washing and cleansing. I'm going to give you just a couple seconds here. I'm a big fan of the sentiment, I love you, goodbye. I love you, goodbye. I love you, goodbye. I love you, goodbye. Very good. Take a deep breath. We're going to go all the way back up. Reconnect. Keep your eyes closed. Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is, I ask in the highest and best way that all aspects of my being that have been traveling into future experiences yet to be had, out of fear, out of worry, out of upset, aspects of my soul and being that have been traveling into the past out of regret, out of resentment, out of upset. I ask that all aspects of my being get called home throughout space and time and out of anybody else's space, including those I'm worried about. May all aspects of my being get called home, cleansed in your loving light, and return to me, body, mind, and spirit, so that I might feel myself whole and complete. And just imagine like a homing pigeon or like pieces of a puzzle. Call yourself home from future and past, from partners and children. Come back, come back, come back. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. Good. And then just briefly, I'm going to do it for you since you guys got such a big, beautiful running start. May all waywards, anything not in their highest and best, and anybody else's energy be pulled and released and sent to the light and back to wherever it belongs. May all aspects of everyone's being that's on the call get called home from all space and time, from anybody else's energy body, from all upset, concern, and fear, get called home, cleansed, and return to them collectively, individually, respectively, in a way that leaves them feeling whole and complete, connected to their own sovereign well-being. Thank you. Okay, take a deep breath. And let's just start in a soft place together. Keep your eyes closed. I would like to learn to absorb and witness more and more of what is true without closing my mind and closing my heart. I would like to be more capable in understanding my role in all of this. And not just what I am responsible for, but to be able to ask myself the question without anxiety, without fear, and without resentment. And now what? I want to be a force for the good, and I want to do it slowly, methodically, and permanently. I do not want my actions, whether they be donations or self-education or reparations, to be a flash in the pan in my life, not because it's trending, not because I'm temporarily shook. I want a deep and lasting, permanent understanding of how I can show up for my brothers and my sisters, my mothers and my fathers, my uncles and my aunts, and the beings that I'm connected to in a way that makes me feel purposeful and capable and focused. May I learn to, in some ways, be pleased with less. Be pleased with less materiality, less superficial self-care, less approval and accolades. And may I learn to be pleased by that which nourishes, that which benefits. May I learn to take more and more pleasure in the simple privileges of my life, be it clean air or good food, or the nourishment of friends and family. And may I find a way to move back and forth between pleasure and joy and curiosity and innocence and action and pushback and offering and inquiry. May I have the humility to accept I will not understand how to do this all at once. It will come to me in incremental bits, but moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, month by month, and year by year, may I be a great unfolding of truth-telling and self-communication. And may I learn the difference between self-absorption and self-understanding. And may I learn to understand myself in a way that leaves me available, tuned and tapped, and at the ready for any set of instructions divinity chooses to bless me with. In this space, this collective consciousness, I believe in the power of focused prayer together. And so together, let's just imagine, take a deep breath, and let's just imagine for a moment to live in a world where it feels absolutely true and where everybody knows it. Just for the moment, let's just play the game. Everybody knows it, that Black bodies are precious, that Black bodies are safe, that Black bodies are respected, that Black bodies are honored, and together with our collective consciousness, let's just imagine for a moment what we would consider the worst of humanity, the perpetrators, the violent doers. And let's imagine for a moment, if it doesn't feel like too big of an ask for you, that they are deeply and powerfully asleep. Asleep to the godliness that lives within each of us, asleep to the divinity of our human family, asleep to the potentiality of a world in which everyone's basic needs are being met, would be a nourishing world for us all. Asleep to the fact that they do not need more and more and more and more. Asleep to the fact that to live in a world where it is me, mine, gimme, I, more, is a world of suffering and pain. Let's just send a wave of wakefulness. Wake up. Let's just ask that those beings that exist within those systems that are straddling the line, that have it within them to wake up and be a force for the waking of the people in their immediate vicinity. Wake up. For your own good, wake up. Let's just take a moment and imagine the world at large, backing way off. And let's just ask, if you can manage, just look at the entire planet, look at the oppressors, look at the oppressed. And for one little minute, let's just hold the vibration of what it means to love, what it means to bear witness, what it means to be in service, what it means to be willing to play the game, what it means to be willing to suffer if it is purposeful and if it is necessary, what it means to accept and surrender that which we have no control over, and to wake up to and to take ownership over that which we do. And to know that we can't understand intellectually, but we can understand energetically, to go where the energy is calling you to go, to be in service where the energy is calling you to be in service. And let's ask that if there is in any of us even a drop of guilt or shame, that we ask that that be cleansed and cleared and replaced with, and now what? And what is there to do right now. Let's just ask that a wave of wakefulness be downloaded into every single one of us to remember and to recognize and to wake up to who and what we truly are, what we're truly powerfully capable of, and that we are not alone. Within your energy body, let's just ask that unconditional love be sent through every single cell of you. May unconditional love be sent through every single cell of my body. May I be a vibration of love in a way that heals and helps. Thank you. So it is said, it is done, it is done, it is done. Finding your breath and beginning to gather your connected consciousness back together. Imagine that beautiful point of light. I know some of you don't want to, but this is the way that it works. Gather that beautiful point of light as you take a deep breath and start to come back down. Acceptance and surrender down through the sky. Acceptance and surrender, action. Acceptance and surrender with action down through the sky. And let's just pause a moment above your body. And let's recognize for a moment that self-annihilation, particularly about your body, what you look like, whether it's about weight or your skin or your age, let's just remember that that also is participation in the patriarchy and in a system that we've been spoon-fed. And fuck that shit. So say to your beautiful body, I love you, I'm sorry. I love you, I love you, I love you, I'm sorry. I love you, I love you, I love you. Thank you so much for all you do for me. Thank you so much for all you hold and process. You are a fucking miracle, a divine gift from God, and I am your caretaker, and I commit to learning how to tend to you better and better, not through mani-pedis, but through not losing my breath, by tending to self, and by honoring the sacred container of this physical reality. Imagine your point of consciousness getting rinsed off in a beautiful stream of rainbow-colored light, down through the top of the crown, down past chest and belly. It's so important for us to ground, relax the body, down through the bottoms of the feet or sacrum. Just imagine sort of nestling or rooting into the earth once more. Call your consciousness, that earth energy, back up through the ground, back up through the root, and place that beautiful ball of light wherever feels most natural and organic for you. Okay, good. And as you're ready, you can just take a beautiful deep breath and open your eyes. Lovely. For some of you that haven't been in workshop before, you'll notice a couple people on the call did a little hand motion. So this is just a very simple technique that's actually extremely purposeful. And then we'll kind of open the floors for conversation if people are ready. So for those of you that don't know how or haven't done it yet, especially when we psychically travel together like that, and I would suggest doing it from social media, from your computer, from your clients, from your bosses, whatever, take your right hand and put it palm out on your belly button like so. Good. And then put your left hand on top. It can feel a little awkward at first. You got it. And then rub your hands together and then push your left hand away from you and say, what's theirs is theirs. Good. And then turn your right hand over and say, what's mine is mine. And then move your right hand, up and over the top of the head. So in one fluid motion, it would look like what's theirs is theirs, what's mine is mine, up and over the head. Then you do it. Fair enough. Okay, so I would suggest learning how to energy break and really starting to do it when you get off the phone with somebody difficult, do it when you get off social media. Your brain needs the reminder not to empathically track everything that you're looking at. It's too much. Yeah, so I was even thinking maybe next week, besides the Friday call, I could do like a little energy 101 class for those of you that want it, just for some basic stuff. But I would love to have a little check-in and see if anyone has questions or how that was for everybody. Don't be shy. Feel free to jump in there if you do have a question, just keeping in mind that since there's so many people on the call, it's really better if the questions are less about your personal life and more about the energy work, or even bigger, broader metaphysical questions. I can't guarantee I can answer you, but I'm always down for a good conversation. So. You're gonna leave me floating in a sea of aloneness. Come on. Sorry, I shouldn't yell at everybody, but does anybody have anything they'd like to say? If not, we can just wrap it up and get off the phone. Joanna? That was Joanna. Yeah, and you don't have to raise your hand. You can just unmute yourself because I can't read the little text anyways.
Okay. Hi. I thought that was really lovely, and you look really lovely.
Oh,
and I wondered if you could speak a little bit too when you were talking about the throat chakra and you're talking about speaking your truth. And there was some kind of question that came up for me just about, sometimes I speak my truth, but I don't know if it's coming from my ego, which she serves me. I need her. Or if it's... I just wondered if you had any opinion about that as far as like speaking from your truth. And I feel like it's coming from my heart space because, that is part of me. But I just wondered if you had something else to say to that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think for every person, there's a somatic relationship to the truth. And so for me, it has to do with being able to get in contact with your own physiology and where things that are inherently true come from. So like for me, I know that I am not speaking the truth when there's an emotional edge behind what I'm saying, because I've bought into my own righteousness in some way. But for some people, they should be righteous. They should say things that they're right about. So I couldn't even say that that's a universal truth. So I think it's actually really about, to me anyways, I know that I spoke the truth if I have no reverb or concern afterwards. And when I get fractalized or start to pick on or wonder about it, I probably wasn't right on track. Yeah, if that's helpful. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Cool. Anybody else?
I have a question, Alexis.
Sure. Hi, Nimka.
Hi. Let's see, what is it? So, listening to this really cool book, My Grandmother's Hands. I really recommend it to anyone. It's talking about how trauma gets stuck in our bodies and how it's such an important place to be working right now. Like we're trying to do all this stuff in our minds about anti-racism, but actually there's so much learned information in our bodies I was just wondering if anything's coming to you in Theta about tools or, I don't know, ways to support unwinding trauma in our bodies.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously there's so many modalities and so many practitioners, and you probably know quite a bit of it in terms of like things like cranial sacral. From a theta healing perspective, trauma is at least partly the beliefs that we hold. There's a woman named Candace Pert who wrote a book called The Body is the Subconscious Mind. And she basically was talking about how your unconscious beliefs live in your body and in your neopeptides and the way that your organs function and your blood moves and everything, which is kind of what you're talking about. And so if you're talking about working on yourself, right, for those of us that either don't have the financial or resourceful connections with people that can do belief clearing or whatever the thing is, to me, it's about if you are willing, as you witness a belief that comes up in you that is unattractive, right? Or that we want to push away or change or not think that we actually think that in some way. to be willing to sit with it and face it and feel the historical damage of that way of operating, right? And then from that space, as your nervous system unwinds, and you can almost sort of like take it to then ask the question, and now what, right? So for instance, the whole thing about my needs matter was kind of news to me, as well as a number of other ones that came up. And so I practiced just for fun, without being heavy-handed about it, saying, maybe my needs don't matter, and just sitting with that, right? Or if the amount of visual inundation that we've gotten that's meant to create otherness among races, right? Which is just like, it's just, there's just like, unless you're living on an island or in a tribe of people that have no contact with the internet, you've been getting it since you got here. And as it comes up, like the thing that I said in Theta, to be able to sit with, actually what was coming up yesterday was, my needs don't matter. That sounded okay. That sounded like interesting. But then really the belief was, that I want to take on is, my needs don't matter than anyone else's needs. And I know the difference between recognizing a need and a preference. And so as a thought or a thought pattern or a set of visual images come up, to be willing to face it, and then to be willing to practice the antithesis of that experience. Does that sort of make sense? And there's also a lot of, like that book that I was listening to, the Me and White Supremacy, she does like a 30-day journal, and there's question prompts that allow you to consider where racism lives in your genes and in your subconscious, and then to be able to answer those questions honestly. For me, I genuinely believe that bearing witness to something is part of the healing. Sometimes it's all of the healing that's required. To be willing to sit with something starts to shift the very thing that you're looking at. But yeah, there's probably so many more resources. And if I think of any, I'll email you, but I hope that that was helpful. That's as far as I've gotten. And I'm really just still learning. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else before we start to close? Okay. Everyone's feeling very shy today. That's fine. Lisanne, you're always good for a comment. No?
My comment is that I love you.
Oh.
My comment is that I love all of you. And me too. That's it. Thank you so much. This is fantastic. It's been really beautiful to connect this way.
I love you too. Thank you so much. Sorry I called you out. I just was trying to get somebody to talk.
All good.
It's cool. All right. Well, if that's the case, then usually how we end is we'll do a little closing circle just to get the energy complete for us, right? And then I like to close after we do closing circle with a little song. Sometimes, especially the last few weeks, it's felt inappropriate sometimes because it's about your cells being happy and singing to yourself. But I think probably now more than ever, we need spaces of oxygen and upliftment to keep us going and not get so dragged in the mud once again that we lose contact with that. We want to create the world we want to create. Yes, because of the imbalance and the needs for more well-balanced resources and opportunities, but also so that more beings can live in the experience of joy and celebration and get to feel the pleasure of having a body without being afraid of something happening to it, right? And so as we sing to ourselves, let's sing to everyone. But we're going to do a little closing prayer. So go ahead and close your eyes and take a deep breath, and thumbs to the left if you can do it. And we're just going to say a little prayer of gratitude for these calls are a place of remembrance and of reminding us that there are so many beautiful, good, deep, interesting, soulful, creative people on this planet who are aching and wanting to do better and be better and find ways to create change and shifts in ways that hasn't always been as present. So let's just together call in Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is. to the beautiful, extraordinary, strange, mysterious life force that runs through all things at all times without cessation. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be the mouthpiece for this collective consciousness and to join us together in a space through our mutual and combined desires to be both relieved and lifted and purposeful and clear. I ask in the highest and best way that any shifts and changes that we did do continue to happen for each of the people on this call in a way that creates balance and health and wellness. I ask that a big, beautiful bubble of protection, golden light go around our body, minds, and spirits. May we be attractors for that which is nourishing and beneficial, and may we be repellent to that which isn't. Let all of us be able to stand sturdier and sturdier, more stable and more stable, to have our feet planted firmly in the earth as the waves get bigger, as they inevitably will. And let us remember that this is not about being hopeful. This is about being connected to our own resiliency and the power of the human spirit and the power of the human imagination and the creative potential of inventing a world in which all of us have the space and room and time and resources to thrive. May everyone come back into a fuller understanding of their own beauty and intelligence and capacity to do good. And so it is. Thank you so much. So just go ahead and ground your energy. And if you want to, feel free to zip yourselves up. And our closing song is called the Happy Cell Song. And feel free to sing it. I won't be able to hear you anyways. And we're gonna first just sing to yourself because your cells need a little TLC. And then we're going to sing to everyone else on the call or the world at large. Okay? Good. Ready? Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I can tell every little cell in my body is happy and well. I can tell every little cell in my body is happy and well. Now sing it to everybody else. Every little cell in your bodies are happy. Every little cell in your bodies are well. Every little cell in your bodies are happy. Every little cell in your bodies are well. I can tell every little cell in your bodies are happy and well. I can tell every little cell in your bodies are happy and well. Thank everybody so much. And I'll be back on for next Friday. We're going to do it again. And so just keep an eye out for the email. And I'll also do an email send out if I decide to do the Energy Work 101 class. And so we'll just all stay connected, but feel free to email me with any questions or anything that's up for you. Does anybody want to say anything before I end the call for everyone?
Just a big thank you.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too.
Thank you, Chicken, Alexis.
Bye,
Love you
Selena.
too.
I love you too. Bye, girls. Have fun.
Thank you, Alexis.
Bye. There they all go. Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Alexis.
My pleasure. Have a beautiful rest of your day, you guys. Have a good weekend. Bye, Shawnina. Okay, bye. Lots of love.